It didn't happen in my 20s. Who cares? Now I've got all this fancy wisdom to share. Hey, I've got this baby, you're getting the best of me, 'cause I'm a new mommy at 40. Welcome to New Mommy at 40, a honest, informative, and non-judgmental podcast for those navigating to and through parenthood in their 40s. But before we get started, don't forget to follow, subscribe wherever you're listening to this so you don't miss a single episode. All right, let's get into it. Welcome to New Mommy at 40. I'm your host, Victoria Lauture-Duncker, and I am so happy to have our guest today. She is a 44-year-old wellness and health coach based out of Arizona. Her name is Daisha Enos. She's a mother, she's a wife, and she's got two beautiful children, aged is 4 and 9. Could have reversed that with 9 and 4. And we are so happy to have her on today. Welcome to the New Mommy at 40 family, Daisha.
Thank you, Victoria. I am so happy to be here and so excited for this conversation today.
Yeah, I love covering all different types of stories and arrivals into motherhood at this stage. So I wanted to ask you, what did your motherhood journey, what did you think it was going to look like prior to having children?
Well, I think like most women, I probably assumed it was going to happen a little earlier. Right. I didn't realize I would be in my mid-30s by the time I became a mother. I think that maybe I thought it was maybe like a mid-20s or late 20s type deal. I thought I'd be a little bit younger, but looking back on it now, I wouldn't change anything. I mean, it happened when it was supposed to happen, but as females in this society, we get that pressure pretty early on. Like you hit a certain age and you're going to start hearing it from people, and you're even going to start feeling it yourself because you see what's happening around you. You see everybody else around you having kids, very early on. And so, with that extra happening, when you're hearing it from all sides and stuff, it can kind of be overwhelming. But if that were the one thing that I could say, I didn't see happening. I didn't necessarily plan to be in my mid-30s, right. But once again, I wouldn't change that for anything. It happened when it was supposed to happen.
I couldn't agree with you more. I was wondering, where did you have that from family members? Were they starting to kind of question what was going on? What were those voices like?
Yeah, mainly family members. They're always well-meaning, right? They think that they're saying something that's really, once again, I don't think a lot of people pay attention to their words, and I think this. I mean, your journey and how you started this were words that came from somebody who kind of knew you, but they thought that they were just saying something just off the cuff. And so, yeah, a lot of it comes from family. I think your friends, I think the people who are in your friend group, they're probably around the same age, and you're probably having the same type of life situations happening at the same time, right? My friends from college and high school, we're navigating our 20s at the same time. And so we all know what's happening with each other. We know what's happening with relationships and are we getting close to motherhood? Like we know that. Mm-hmm. But your older family members, they don't necessarily know that. They just know that, hold up, Daisha ain't had any babies yet. There's no man, there's no babies. Like, what's happening there? So they start to ask the questions or they start to make the comments. And once again, they don't know that it can be hurtful. They don't realize that. It's just kind of off the top of their head. They're just wanting to put that out there that they want to see you married with kids and stuff. Mm-hmm. They don't realize the kind of the ramifications of what they're saying, like that, what's happening to the person internally when they hear that over and over again.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say a lot of it for me came from family members. I'll say that they were well-meaning, though. They, once again, they weren't trying to be hurtful or hurt anybody's feelings, but a lot of that comes from family, because your friends know what you're going through, because they're probably going through it at the same time.
Yeah, that's very true. Because my grandmother was in, I think she passed, I think she was 97. Okay. And I'm the first of 4 and the last to have kids. So I remember at one point, you know, because I did have someone in my life for a long time that she knew of. And she was just like, what is going on? Do you just not want one? Like, what's happening? Just at one point, she was like, just have the baby. Have the baby, bring it here. I take care of it. Why don't you have a baby already? Just bring it to me. I take care of it. It's not. And I'm like, okay, miss, I left the stove on. I forgot. And I can't do that right now. But to the point of guilt of like, can I please see your child before I die? Can you have this child before I die? But it's well-meaning, because she just wants to, to experience that. And I don't have any regrets of having children later either. But I kind of do wish that she had been able to meet my daughter. Yeah. But you can't plan. I mean, in terms of motherhood journeys, we have this thing in our head of what it could look like. But at some point you're like, where is this person coming from that's going to have this baby with me?
For real. For real. Yeah. The steps, and it's funny because they, from on my side, they were, and probably that came from me. I'm not going to lie. I was a pretty independent kid, pretty independent teenager, young woman. And I didn't necessarily talk about marriage or even think I was going to get married, but I kept talking about the kids. Like, I skipped the whole man part. Like, I kept talking about the kids.
Yeah. I didn't even have wedding dresses in my head or anything, but I just knew motherhood was going to be a thing. That's real.
Yes.
Yeah.
Girl, same here. I swear to God, I was the least girly girl. I wasn't dreaming about the wedding. Did not have the man in mind, but I did have the kids. That's the crazy part. Like, as a teenager, I had the kids in mind. I knew I wanted 2 kids. I knew I wanted a boy and a girl. And I knew that I wanted to get pregnant with one of them, so one bio kid, and I knew I wanted to adopt a second one, because I had these friends growing up. I had friends who were adopted growing up, so I was familiar with that situation and that dynamic, and I knew that I wanted to be that. I knew I wanted to do that in my life. So I had that all planned, Victoria. I did. I had the kids planned. I didn't have the man planned, and so my family, they knew that, and they knew that they were pressuring me on the kids part. They're like, where are these kids? These 2 kids you keep talking about that they've already got names and stuff. They skipped the man part with me too, because they just knew. But eventually I did find the man, and it all worked out. But yeah, same here, girl. That the pressure was about the kids. They wanted to see some kids sooner rather than later.
Yeah, but you manifested this, Daisha. You did.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like, well, I'm impressed that people actually like listen to you, like they didn't pressure you on the man part, because you must have been very clear, made it very clear what you were looking for at the time. So this was a bonus that he came into your life.
That is exactly I love that you say that, because that's exactly what I tell him. I was like, you were the bonus, hon. You were the cherry on top. I had not planned for you. I had planned for these kids that we got now, this 9-year-old and this 4-year-old. I planned for them. I didn't plan for you. So you're the bonus. Yeah.
And that's not a bad thing. That's like, it's like, wow, I couldn't even picture you, but here you are. You had to be here too.
Yes, he did. He did. He was essential. I didn't realize it then, but I know it now.
Where did you meet?
We met here in Arizona. Yeah, a lot of people assume, because he's retired Air Force, a lot of people assume that we had known each other beforehand and I moved here with him. But no, we met separately here in Arizona. I had already been here for about 3 years. I'm originally from Tennessee, and I had moved here on my own. I loved Arizona. Traveled out here when I was in college. I loved it, and I was like, I'm going there when I get done with this school, and I'm going to Arizona. That's where I want to live. And so I had been out here for about 3 years. He had been stationed here right out of high school. So when he joined the Air Force, he got stationed here in Arizona. And we met We wouldn't have met any other way, Victoria. We met online. So we were actually on an online dating site. That's how we met. So we're actually one of those success stories. There are those people who meet online that it actually works out. So
Well, because I'm all about helping a sister out, this is a possible sponsorship partnership here. I'm just
uh-oh.
saying, maybe you could reach out to them and show them this and say, "We met on this platform. Holla at
Girl,
your
they
girl."
don't it doesn't exist anymore. It's
Oh,
Yahoo Personals. They don't even exist
oh,
anymore, girl.
oh, that's
Exactly. Of
funny.
all of the ones out there, it doesn't even exist.
Y'all closed it up. You closed up
I know.
shop.
Yep. Yep.
Just
We
thank
closed it
you.
up.
Snatched it. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
all right. Well, never mind. I can't.
I
I was
know.
trying, girl. I was trying. I'm like,
I know. I
listen,
love it. Thank you.
she's a
Thank
health
you for
and
looking
wellness
out.
coach. Let's okay. Well, I tried.
I love it. I love it. Love where
Well,
your head was going with that.
yeah.
Yes.
Listen. Everyone's got to get paid. Listen. So, so now you guys met. You guys got married in Arizona. So when did baby number one come into your life? Tell us about that whole pregnancy, or if there was a conversation of, okay, let's start now. I want to hear
Oh
how
yeah.
number one got here.
Oh yeah. So by the time we met each other, we were both, I think he was 30, I was 29 when we actually met. We dated for a couple of years, got engaged, and then we saw no reason to have a long engagement. We're like, yeah, we know let's just go on and get married. So we were only engaged for about 7 months before the actual wedding. So we
Nice.
got married. So at the time that we got married, I was 32, he's 33. So I'm thinking it already in my head. I'm thinking, okay, I'm early 30s. There's no baby yet. I'm thinking of it from a physiological standpoint. But at the same time, we met each other late. And
Right.
so because of that, yeah, we had 2 years with each other, but we still wanted that me time. We still wanted our time with each other. And we were both of us. So there wasn't a pressure from me and there wasn't a pressure from him. We both mutually agreed that let's take some time. Let's be married. Let's have some me time, before because we can't get that back. Once the babies come, you're a mother, you're a father forever. You're not going to get that time back where it's just the two of you and you don't have that responsibility. So we actively, decided let's take some time. In the meantime, we did some research on houses and stuff like that, and we realized, hey, we can build a house. We can afford to build a really nice house in the neighborhood that we want to live in and stuff. So in thinking about building that house, we had to think about, okay, the two kids, we both live far away from our families. So we were thinking, guest room, blah, blah, blah. So as we're planning this house, we're realizing, okay, well, this house is going to be done in June, and we're gonna need to fill it up, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, we got this big house. It's just the two of us. So basically, the way it worked out is, as we were building the house, we were coming up on our 2 year anniversary. And for me, that also meant I was turning 34. And I knew what that meant. I knew from a medical standpoint that I'm getting close to what they call the advanced maternal age. And I also knew that I personally have medical issues with my reproductive system. And I didn't know how easy that was going to be for us to get pregnant. And so we decided, let's just get off the birth control and let's just see what happens. We built this house to have two kids. Let's see what happens. And I was a big proponent, Victoria, of not being stressed out about the situation, because I had seen so many women who it seemed like it was clockwork. They wanted to get pregnant. They tried. It didn't happen. They eventually go through IVF. It doesn't happen then. They decide, never mind, we're not going to try natural. Let's adopt. They adopt a kid, and within a year, they get pregnant. It happened every time, like for so many people that I knew personally. And in knowing how the human body works, I was like, that's stress.
Yeah.
That is
And
pure stress. Stress is causing that hormonal imbalance that once you have a baby, once you've adopted that kid and you're a mother,
mhm.
the stress is gone, right? We don't have that stress anymore. And guess what? Now you're just having sex, and guess what? It just happens, right? It just happens naturally, the way it's supposed to happen. And I wanted that for us. I did not want us getting pregnant to be a stressful situation. I just wanted it to happen. So all we did was just got off the birth control, and that was it. Let's just let it happen naturally. And it did take a few months. I'm not going to lie. It wasn't an immediate thing. It did take a few months for, I'd say it took about 6 months from the time that I got off the birth control and until we conceived for it to happen. But that, for me, I think that was probably one of the biggest things, was that I went into it knowing we're just going to let nature take its course. We're not going to force this, or because you can't force it. It's going to happen or it's not. And if it's going to happen, it's going to happen in the time it's supposed to happen. And I did not want to be stressed about my age. I just wanted nature to do its thing. So for us, it was 2 years later. So 2 years after we got married, we started the process, and like I said, within about 6 months, we got we conceived and got pregnant with our son.
Wow, so many gems in there. So many gems in there. I want to backtrack to something that first of all, what I'm hearing, to sum up what I wanted to say, is that you sound very informed, and I think this is a testament to why I do this podcast too, and why so many of us who have been down this road are doing this now, because we did not have all of this information readily at our hands, in our 20s. So I'm actually really impressed with what you're saying, that you were informed of your reproductive issues already.
Yep.
You were aware that 34 was getting close to advanced maternal age, which I'm surprised. Sometimes I speak to people and they don't exactly know when that kicks in, when that title
right.
kicks in.
Right.
More and more now, but there was a point where people just assumed that was 40 because they're not thinking of themselves as advanced maternal, at 35. I get it. So a lot of gems there. So I want to ask you, what led you to finding out about your reproductive issues? Like, how did you know? If you're not comfortable sharing all of them, that's fine. But I just want to get an idea of, how did you find that out?
Yeah. No problem there. It was pretty, I think, and I don't want to put this out there on everybody. I don't want to generalize our demographic. But what I have found over my 44 years on this planet is that you don't find a lot of Black women who are going to be going to the doctor and finding out what's happening in their bodies. A lot of times we're just going to have the symptoms. We're just going to live with it and not really know what's going on. And so that is kind of what I grew up knowing, honestly. That's very common in our community. I took a different approach. I being in the medical field, being an allied healthcare professional, I took a different approach and decided, if I'm having symptoms of something, I want to find out what it is and find out how I can change my lifestyle, if that's possible, to rectify that. And so for me, I had my first period when I was 11. And from the time I was 11 years old until I finally got a gynecologist and stuff in my 20s, I had very heavy, painful periods. And I just thought that that's what it was, because every other woman in my family complained about the same thing. Now, years later, I find out that we all have some similar issues with our uterus, like we all did, but nobody was really talking about it. They just talked about the symptoms. They talked about the heavy periods and the painful periods. Well, once I finally went to my doctor and they took some ultrasounds, come to find out that I had some very large fibroids in my uterus, and that those fibroids were growing. And so I had options, and this was when I was in my 20s. And so, when they talk about your options, there's best case scenario of removing the fibroids and hopefully they don't come back. That's best case scenario. Worst case scenario is you just have the hysterectomy. You get rid of the uterus altogether, right? well, I'm in my 20s. I haven't had my kid yet, right? So I'm thinking ahead, and I'm like, well, that's not an option because I want my kid, you know? So I decided, okay, they can't guarantee that I'm not going to, that if we take the fibroids out, that they're not going to come back. So I just made a choice. I'm like, I will just live with it and see what happens. And so when it was time for us to try, once I got off the birth control and decided to try, um, that was something that was in my head. That's what I knew in my head, was that I've got fibroids. Fibroids are going to make it a little bit more difficult for me to conceive, probably, plus my age, right? So you add those factors and stuff in. And that's where I was coming from as far as, ooh, this might not be easy for us. And because it might not be easy, let me just go and take the stress out of it, right? I'm not going to hammer it home and try to make it happen. We're once again, let nature take its course. And if we get pregnant, great. If it takes a while, that's fine. But I already knew that I had a couple of strikes against me in that category, and I didn't want to add stress on top of that. So yeah, that's kind of where that came from.
No, that's great. I had fibroids as well, and I've also found out. I think I was in my 30s when I found them, and I had always had painful periods too, and it's I hope that if there are any, by chance, if there are any younger women watching, or if you are a mother of a young child, of a young daughter who's in that teenage space, to kind of listen to them if they do say that they're having pain, because I'm just thinking of my niece right now who's been saying this for a while, that since she's had her period, how painful it is.
Yeah.
And it is it's very common for us to just kind of, I'm sure maybe she's being a little dramatic, or take a Midol, or just,
Right.
it's gonna be fine,
Right.
but it could be something else. So just a cautionary tale for anyone listening. If you have any teenagers in your life and you hear this from this point, that they're saying that it might be really advantageous to take them and just get that gynecological visit early.
Yeah.
Because you said 20s. I think that was the first time I went to.
Yeah.
I just felt like, going in the earlier was admitting that she's a young woman. I don't think my mom was really comfortable. My parents were taking me to that doctor.
Yeah. And I don't know how it was for you, but and you can speak to this. Like, I didn't have that. Like, my mom and her sisters, like the women that I was growing up around, they weren't going to a gynecologist on a regular basis. They were barely going to a primary care person on a regular basis. So I didn't know that either. And that was something I wanted to change. I wanted to go to doctors and do the preventative part, right? Yeah. Find out about stuff ahead of time if there is stuff. And then that's where, once I started figuring this out and started to talk to my mom and talk to my aunts and my cousins, come to find out, like I said, it's genetic. All the women in my family were dealing with this, but we weren't having those conversations. So I don't know if that's how it was for you when you were growing up as well.
I don't even remember even having that conversation about that type of doctor existing until my mom was going, because she had 4 of us, but it wasn't something that was extended as, you may have to go to this doctor one day. It was just I only thought that they were for when you were pregnant.
Right.
Like the obstetrics part. I didn't understand the other part. So I didn't even really know. But I feel like there's a huge distrust in the Black community, especially with women, when it comes to OBGYNs, because of, the founder of the father of gynecological medicine did a lot of experimentation on Black women who were enslaved, and without any anesthetic, and so there's a lot of distrust. But we have to start. I think you're in that great cross section of doing the preventative care, understanding where medicine and Western medicine is helpful, and also taking ownership of your own health with health and wellness. Right. Combining the two. The two can exist. You can still take your teas and your herbs from the garden and still and still be seen by a doctor. It's possible to do both.
Yes,
You know?
yes, I agree.
So you have so what was your pregnancy like? So you decided, okay, don't put the stress into this. We have enough against us, and I don't want to approach it in that way.
Right,
I just want to let it happen. So it
right.
happens. What was that
Yeah.
moment like?
It was eye-opening. Like it was one of those where you've heard everybody else talk about when they found out and all this stuff, and I didn't want to believe quite yet, but I had the symptoms. I had the symptoms there. I remember me and my husband were about to leave the house to go somewhere, and I stood up and turned around to get my jacket, and I almost fell over. I was so nauseated. I had never felt a wave of nausea like that in my life. And I still didn't think about it. And we're trying, girl. We are trying, and I'm still not even thinking that I'm pregnant at this point. And then we go to a restaurant. His family or his parents had come in to visit, and we go to eat with them. And we sit down to eat, and I'm looking at the menu, and everything I'm reading on the menu, I'm like I'm having this, GERD situation. I'm like, oh my God, like this is. I couldn't believe that I was having the symptoms and still wasn't taking a test yet. And this was mainly because I had taken 2 prior tests over the summer, and they had both come back negative. And so I was like, okay, once again, not going to stress, not going to pay. It was my husband who was like, hey, babe, you think you want to take another test? I'm like, nah, we'll be fine. He was like, why don't you just take a test? So I was like, fine. So he goes out. He was gung ho. He goes out and buys the tests and stuff. It was nighttime, and I was like, fine, I'll take the test. So I go and I take the test. I came back downstairs and sat on the couch and was watching football. My husband is the one that went upstairs to check the test after the timer had went off. And he comes downstairs with the test, and he's like, babe. And it's got the plus sign and stuff on it. And I'm like, okay. And he's giddy and ready to go. He's like, do you want to take the second one? I was like, no, because first off, it's nighttime. They tell you, you're supposed to take it in the morning. That's when the hormone is more present. I was like, I promise I'll take it again in the morning, and we'll see. So I take the second test in the morning, girl, and it immediately turned. Like I didn't even have to wait. It immediately turned. Wow, I was like, yeah. Oh, okay, I guess I need to. So from there, you get the doctor's appointments. They confirm the pregnancy. And that's when I first heard the words geriatric pregnancy from a medical person, right? Because they're doing the math, and they're like, oh, you're 34. And then they're looking at my due date, and they're like, oh, you're going to actually be 35 when you deliver. So, advanced maternal age. I'm like, oh, there it is. I was waiting for somebody to say it. But you know what? I had aligned myself with a gynecologist who was also in obstetrics, and so she was very forward thinking. Somebody like me who looks at things from a more holistic standpoint, not necessarily wanting to get to automatically prescribe drugs and things like that, right? And so she was very much like, hey, Daisha, you're pregnant. Yeah, you're going to be 35 when you deliver, but keep living your life. Keep being the active person you are. Keep doing, everything that you've been doing. And so that's what I did. For the next few months, I got through that first trimester, which was hell. Let me just put it out there. Let's be blunt about it. That first trimester was bad. Really, really bad. And I'm a fairly petite person, and so I wasn't showing until I really got into my second trimester. So I was able to hide it and wait and until the holidays to present it to our families and stuff and tell them that we were pregnant. But then second trimester, great, everything was going great. We get to the 20-week mark, and that's where things changed, because the minute I found out I was pregnant, I'm already thinking what this pregnancy is going to look like. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to keep working out. I'm going to start doing yoga. I'm going to, get prepped for this natural birth with no drugs. Like I was gung ho, girl. Like I was ready to go. And then we hit the week 20 mark, and that's when they do the ultrasound for that. Normally you can find out gender, and they're looking for everything, making sure everything else is progressing as it should. And at that appointment, they found that I had a condition called placenta previa. So just to kind of for those who aren't familiar, the placenta during your pregnancy is supposed to sit at the top of the uterus. That's where it's supposed to be throughout the pregnancy. For somebody with placenta previa, for whatever reason, the placenta has moved and shifted, and it is actually covering the cervix, which is problematic because the baby's got to exit through the cervix. So you can't have the placenta down there. So that particular ultrasound, although we did get to find out gender, which was great, it was humbling because that changed everything. It really did, because that was the ultrasound that determines that I don't get to have a natural birth. I'm going to have a C-section. And not only that, we're going to have to schedule it a couple of weeks early because we don't want to risk you going into labor. That's the big thing. We don't want you going into labor and having and going through contractions and things like that. That's problematic. And so everything shifted at that particular one. But once again, I had aligned myself with doctors who trusted me and I trusted them. And so their first thought was, let's put you on bed rest. I'm like, bed rest? For 17 weeks, you're going to put me on bed? That is not going to work.
Do you know me?
Exactly. I'm like, let me just tell you who I am and let me just tell you what I do. Because not only do I work out on a regular basis, I actually teach a high impact cardio kickboxing class. This bed rest for 17 weeks is not going to work for me. I was like, please just trust me. I was like, if you trust me that I will listen to my body, I will modify everything I do from here on out. Everything will be low impact. And I was still working full time as a certified athletic trainer at that point. And a lot of what I did working for my high school involved a lot of lifting of things, right? And so I told them, I was like, listen, I'll stop lifting things. Coaches and athletes will have to get their stuff from here on out. Like, I promise to make modifications. Just please don't put me on bed rest for 17 weeks. And they trusted me and I trusted them. And we went through that process. What happens though is they continue to monitor you, because for some women, placenta previa can resolve itself. The placenta can actually move and get back to where it's supposed to go. But as I mentioned before, I had the fibroids. So my baby is growing in my uterus with the fibroids, and there's no room. Basically, there's no room in the end for that placenta to go back to where it was supposed to. And so I had to deal with the situation the entire pregnancy, which meant they monitored me. I had more ultrasounds than the normal lady. And I also had to go and do stress tests every week so they could monitor the baby and make sure that everything was going to plan. So yeah, girl, that week 20 ultrasound changed everything about the rest of my pregnancy and what my plan was going forward. But
Goodbye,
I continue
plan.
to stay active. Yeah,
out the window.
Out the window, tear it up, throw the plan away, because that's not happening anymore. But it worked out. It was just another. For me, it was another sign from the universe that I don't get to control everything. I put it in the hands of the universe to get pregnant in the first place. Guess what, Daisha? The rest of your pregnancy, you're going to have to put it in the hands of the universe. So you're going to have to pray about this, and you're going to have to stay positive about what this outcome looks like. Yes, it is different than what I had planned. And as a perfectionist, I was wanting my plan to come to fruition. But in the end, do you deliver a healthy baby? And do I, at the same point, come out of this on the other side too? Because this is a condition that back in the day, before modern medicine, women didn't make it. So I wanted to stay positive through it, even though my initial plans got changed up.
No, I think you did. I think it's again this cross section of like, okay, not really what I wanted, but what do I want? What is the ultimate outcome that I want? I want a healthy baby, exactly. And I want to see the baby. So
yeah,
but that is really, I had that too, but it did move. I also had a fibroid at the time I was pregnant, but something about the hormones, or I don't know what was happening, was actually degenerating on its own. Thank God. So so the placenta was able to go back into its place. Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? Like, some people, like in your case, the hormones were causing the fibroid to actually shrink, right? In my case, they were growing through the pregnancy. And so I had fibroids growing. I had 3 in my uterus at the time. So I've got 3 fibroids and the baby's trying to grow at the same time. There's no wonder the placenta was like, I have nowhere else to go.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to have to
Yeah.
go to the bottom because there's nowhere else to go. But we're also different, like how our bodies, react to everything, so different, and causes us all to have a very unique experience when it comes to our pregnancies.
Yeah, that's why you can't compare. You can't, there's so
No,
many variables. I remember
exactly.
asking my doctor, I'm like, so I do a lot of prenatal yoga. If I do an inversion, does this placenta go in its place? And he was like, nah, it doesn't work that way. I'm like, okay.
No.
I'm just asking. It's a little shake, just a little.
Exactly. I thought gravity might help you.
Just shift it a little bit. He's like, unfortunately, no. I'm like, got it.
I love that.
And I hate
That's
those
awesome.
stress tests because it's like, so you want me to come to the stress test and not stress out about the stress test. It's like when someone puts a cuff on you and you're like, you're like, no wonder it's spiking. I need to calm down. Oh my goodness. I remember this. You're bringing me back to that whole that 20-week. Yeah, it's a nerve-wracking one, but it doesn't always end up with some unexpected news. So don't freak out if you're also facing 20 weeks and you're listening to this. But it's a very
those of us listening. It's not always like that for everybody.
No, but it's an informative visit. So
yes.
So yeah, but so your birth story for baby, your son. How was that?
Yes. So that's another funny one. So once again, they scheduled the C-section for week 37 because once again, they didn't want me to go into labor. So they scheduled it for week 37. I'm doing the weekly stress test. So when I go in at week 36 for my weekly stress test, I've got the baby because, for those who are unfamiliar with it, they need the baby to be moving. They need the baby to be active during these stress tests. And so what we had found over the time is that my son really liked a certain song. And so I would play that song on my phone and he would start moving. He'd start, moving around in there. So he's doing his thing and I'm feeling a little uncomfortable, like right near the, my sternum. But I'm used to that. Like I'm used to his feet being up there and I'm used to being uncomfortable. And the lady is looking at the monitor of the stress test. She's like, how are you feeling right now? And I'm like, I feel fine. Like his feet are up here. I was like, but I feel fine. She's like, you're in labor right now. And I was like, what? Because I'm not having any pain. Like I'm having the normal, his feet are up in my rib cage situation, but I'm not in any pain. She's like, okay. So she keeps monitoring it and so they know my situation. She comes and gets a second person to come and read it. And they're doing all the things now. Like they're moving the probes around and everything. And they're like, are you okay? Like, because everything on their end is showing I'm in labor. I'm like, no, I feel fine, ladies. Like, I mean, I don't know what else to tell you. And they're like, well, since you can't go into labor, we're going to have to say, okay, so where I was doing the stress test just happened to be right across the street from the hospital that I wanted to deliver at, right? What? So they tell me, they were like, can you make it? Can you drive across the street? If not, we can get somebody to drive you. I was like, I'm feeling fine. I was like, I'll drive myself across the street. So I did. I hopped in the car. I drove across the street, went to the maternal area, told them what was happening. They were already waiting for me. They're like, they called us that we know you're here. So they had called my doctor. Doctor comes in. She's like, okay, Daisha. So he was supposed to come next week, but he's coming today. We're going to have to do the C-section today. So call my husband. I'm like, hey, he's coming today. He's like, okay. So he leaves work, goes, grabs the bag. He gets to the hospital. And I'd say about 6, maybe 7 hours later, I delivered via C-section about a week earlier than planned. So baby came at week 36. And then that whole journey started. He did come early, so he was in the NICU for about 4 days.
Right. And
then we dealt with other little things after that. We dealt with like jaundice and babies are normally born at a certain weight and then they'll lose a little bit of weight, the few days and stuff after that. But for for Matthew, my son, it was trying to get his weight back up. So then we started dealing with the, weight gain and things like that over the next few months. It was a journey. It was definitely a journey. It was definitely one that, once again, we didn't plan it that way, even though, there was a medical plan. He decided he was going to come a little bit earlier than
that song was too good.
Yeah.
The song was good. He was like, I'm trying to dance it out now.
Apparently, girl. Apparently, that's what he was doing. And keep in mind, I had continued to teach my that cardio kickboxing class 3 days before this happened. So the last time I taught was 3 days before that happened. He normally, during the class, very still. He would not kick. He would not move around during these classes. But he liked this particular song. And that song would always get him up and moving. And who knew? Like, I feel so, when I stop and think about it, I feel blessed that I was there at that stress test when it happened, because once again, I didn't feel anything. I did not know I was in labor.
Yeah.
And to know that I wasn't supposed to go into labor, that I was not supposed to have that baby naturally, I feel really, really blessed and lucky that I was there that day, that it happened the way it did. Yes, he came early, but once again, that's things happen the way they're supposed to happen. And I, once again, feel really blessed that it went down the way it went down.
Yeah, that's a great reflection. That's absolutely true. My goodness.
Yeah.
I'm curious, does he react to that song now?
Like, it's funny. He used to when he was a little bit younger, like when he was like 2 or 3, he would still react to it. Now, when it comes on the radio, and I'll just let everybody know, the song is Happy by Pharrell.
Aww.
So it's that song, which was really popular at the time that I was pregnant with my son. So it was on the radio all the time. And every time it would come on, I'd be like, oh, hold up, he's kicking. Like, he would react to it every time. So now when it comes on the radio, I'll look at him through my rearview mirror. I'll look at him in his backseat, and he'll look at me because he knows that there's a connection and stuff there. Because I've reminded him over the years. I was like, "This was the song, buddy. This was your favorite song when you were in mommy's belly." So, yeah, he knows there's a connection to it now.
That's so sweet.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So, after you had Matthew, was there a time frame that you and your husband had discussed to bring in your daughter, in terms of, because I know your plan had always been to adopt. So Did you have a plan as to how many years you wanted to wait before doing that?
Honestly, no. It was funny. Once again, we built this house and we, had these 2 rooms, one for each kid. And we knew my plan had always been, if I can conceive and have the baby first, then I'm going to adopt the opposite gender. So since we had a little boy, we knew that extra bedroom that was in the house was going to be for a little girl. Right. But we had never really discussed 2 years later, 3 years later, like we had never really discussed that part. To be honest, life just started happening. Like, things just started happening for both of us. My husband was retiring, we actually had a 2-year stint where my husband had to go to Texas towards the end of his Air Force career. He actually went to Texas, and me and Matthew stayed in Arizona because, once again, we built this house. This was where my full-time job was. Like, we stayed here. So there was a 2-year gap there where my husband was gone. Obviously, he came back and visited, and we did holidays and things like that. But there was so much life that was happening during that time, Victoria, that I don't think we ever stopped to think about it. Yeah. I resigned from my job. I opened a fitness studio. I started doing this coaching. Like, I started doing all these things. And then it just finally dawned on me one day towards the end of 2018. I was like, okay, 2019 is coming up and I'm about to be 40 and we don't have the second kid yet. Like, so that is honestly when we finally had the discussion. We're like, we've let a lot of life happen. We've had a lot of major milestones happen in the last 4 years, but we don't have our second kid and we're not getting younger. And I knew at that point, having a son and being that age, I knew what my energy levels and stuff were like. And I knew that if I still want to be energetic and get down on the ground with this baby, I better start. So it was honestly then, like, it was towards the end of 2018. So Matthew was already 4 years old. Mm-hmm. We were like, okay, let's start this process because we don't really know this adoption process. So we need to learn it. We need to figure it out. And once again, I knew from experience. I knew from other people that I had in my life that it can either be a really quick experience or it can be a very long experience. And if it was going to be very long, we didn't want that gap to get any greater, right? We didn't want it to be a huge gap between, Matthew and his baby sister and stuff. So we started the process in January of 2019. And long story short, our baby girl was born in September of that year. And we placed with her when she was 4 days old. And so it literally for us was about an 8 to 9 month process, all in told. Once again, girl, I'm telling you,
Matthew stayed 4 days in the NICU. Then you got your daughter 4 days later.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. Four is an important, and we wanted our family of 4. Like, I never wanted more kids than 2, right? I wanted there to be the 2 parents and the 2 kids. Like 4 is it's an important number. I'm glad I love that you picked up on that, because that's an important number for us and our family.
Yeah, that's a special number for you. And she's 4 now.
She is, yeah.
So how did you handle telling Matthew?
So what we did is we talked about him having a baby sister, but we didn't put a timeline on it. We just talked about the process because we didn't know what was going to happen. For those who are unfamiliar with the adoption process, it really depends on how you do it, whether it's a domestic adoption, whether it's international, whether it's going to be an open adoption, a closed adoption. There's so many different ways of going about it that we knew that there was that small possibility that if we placed with somebody, that the birth mother would decide not to go through with the adoption plan. And so we didn't want to get to that point and get Matthew's hopes up, because yes, we're the adults in the situation. Me and my husband, we're going to be disappointed, but we're going to be able to understand that and conceptualize that and know that that's exactly what was supposed to happen. If that birth mother decides not to go with the adoption plan, that's what was supposed to happen, right? We know how to do that. But my 5-year-old son does not. He's not going to be able to understand why the baby sister we've been talking about that we were going to get this time, why that didn't happen. And so we decided that we would simply talk about the concept with him of, hey, Matthew, I think it's time for you to have a baby sister. How do you feel about that? And we told him about the adoption process, but we didn't give him a timeline. He was not aware of what we were aware of. He was not aware of us being picked by a birth mother, about the plan, about when she was due. He was not aware of any of that. He just knew that we were going on a road trip. And we were going to, at that road trip, we were going to, see some stuff. That is really what he knew. And we decided that we were not going to actually tell him that she had arrived until we knew that the placement was for certain.
Right.
And once again, that's different in every state. Like, every state has laws about how many days the birth mother has to make that decision and things like that. And so we had to wait 3 days in her birth state in order before the birth mother could sign the papers and everything like that. And so we waited until that happened. And when that happened, we were actually able to meet the birth mother. So Matthew was able to meet her as well. And then that was the day that we actually, we were able to tell him that your baby sister's been born. Are you ready to meet her? And go about it that way. So that was our decision. That's what we decided to do. I know that so many people have done it differently and have different reasons for doing what they did, but my son is autistic. And because he's autistic, I know that his brain and how he is processing what we tell him is very literal. And I wanted to make sure that we protected his ability to understand the adoption process and what we were going through. And so that was the decision we made. Once again, I know it's different for everybody, but that's how we wound up handling it.
Those decisions were valid for you and your family situation. You did what was best for your family, as do other people. And that's amazing. And I'm so happy for Matthew that he got his sister.
He did. And they are the best thing ever. One little thing that I do like to add is that it was, when we talk about things being meant to be, Victoria, The birth mother is in a completely different state from us. And she had gone to an adoption agency and she had asked them, is there a is there an interracial couple that already has a kid? This is unheard of because most birth mothers actually want their child to be placed with a couple who does not have any kids. They want their child to be the first for that couple. It is very rare for a birth mother to ask for a couple and in this particular case, she was looking for an interracial couple where one of the parents was Black. This adoption agency in that state did not have anybody that fit that criteria whatsoever. So she contacted an agency here in Arizona that I was working with. It was the agency I was working with to get our profile book out there. And so when the lady in the birth state called up the lady here in Arizona, she goes, I know this is a long shot, but I'm just going to ask, is there any possibility that you've got an interracial couple there in Arizona that's already got a kid? And my adoption advisor was like, oh my God, yes, we do. And they just finalized. We had just been approved by the state that week. We had just been approved.
This is no
I'm telling you.
No,
there are no accidents. There are no accidents. And so when the birth mother saw our profile book, she saw Matthew. And Matthew is why she chose us. It was partly me and my husband, yes, but she saw Matthew. So Matthew is the most important component of all of this. Like she wanted her daughter to have him as a big brother. So their connection now, like watching them now, it's the best thing ever. They are the cutest of course, they're siblings. They squabble. Of course, they've got their, they fight and bicker over things, but they are the cutest thing. They want to know where the other is at whenever they're apart from each other. They love being together. They love playing together. They're meant to be. She was meant to be my daughter, and they were definitely meant to be siblings. It really is the best thing.
What a blessing. What a specific ask she had.
Yeah.
Unreal.
Crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. But it's just another testament to just when things are just meant to be, they're just what's meant for you, no one can stop.
No, thank you.
No one can take away from you what is meant for you. And that's in anything. But man,
yes.
Your whole life, your whole story. I mean, I'm just blown away, girl. You got exactly what you wanted.
Oh,
do you understand that? No, do you understand the power of your own words, your entire life? You got exactly what you wanted because you've never been afraid to ask for what you want and to go for what you want. There is something in knowing your own voice. And what I was saying earlier is that your family respecting that to go, okay, where's the kid? And not talking about the husband. It's because your voice has always been heard and powerful enough for people to respect. And that came from your understanding, your empowerment of who you've been.
Thank you. That is very sweet to hear. I've heard that from people. I've heard people tell me that they've never seen somebody who goes after what they want so fervently as I do. And I believe that, but I don't know. I don't know how to explain it other than
it's not just going after it. I have to click. It's being specific with what you do. You know what I'm saying? That's the difference. There are a lot of people who go after what they want. Yeah, but you're specific. You've been very specific to what you want, which in turn you were blessed with that gift from this birth mother. She was very specific with what she wanted.
Yes.
And the universe brought you together because what do you want?
Yes.
Exactly. What is it that you want? And that is,
that's the message, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Isn't that the message?
Be specific. And don't be afraid to dream, because don't be afraid to ask for what you want. Because if you are 35 and up, what I love about your story is especially that you had one yourself, you adopted another, that your motherhood journey can look like whatever you want it to look like.
Yes.
And there are many roads, and I say this in my intro, many roads to motherhood and parenthood.
Yes.
So the fact that you had that within you to say, I don't have to birth both of my children. I just want to. I want to, and I'm going to be more specific. I want to be able to give a home, make a home to a child.
Yes. Yes.
I just have so much love to give. I don't care about having another one naturally. I want one. I'm going to try for one. And I firmly believe that if you had not been able to have Matthew, you would just adopted two.
Yeah.
You would just had your children because you wanted two children.
Yes.
That's it.
Yeah. That was it.
Wow.
That was it. Yeah. I love what you said there about going for what you want and being specific about it. You know, I think so many women out there, especially when we hit this age, we feel like, well, this is it. This is, you know, whatever has happened to me or whatever I'm doing right now, this is it. Whatever career path I chose, this is it. I can't change it. This is just what it's going to be. Whether I have kids or not at this point, it just is what it is. You know, I can't change it. Like, I feel like so many people feel like once we hit our 40s, we're stuck. Like we're in this box and we can't navigate out of it if our heart is telling us to do something different or to try something different. My philosophy is go for it. What's the worst that can happen? What is the absolute worst that can happen if you go for it and it doesn't quite happen when you think it's going to? Or if it doesn't happen at all? If it doesn't happen, then maybe it wasn't supposed to happen. Maybe you were supposed to learn from that experience. And I truly believe in that. You know, you can win and then you can learn, right? I mean, instead of losing and getting kind of stuck in that mindset of, you know, I've lost, woe is me, I'll never do whatever again. Learn from it instead. And, you know, being on here today and telling this story, and I appreciate you, you know, seeing the positives of it. I do have a very positive life, but that doesn't mean that there haven't been setbacks along the way. And how you deal with those setbacks, in order for us to go through the adoption process, I actually had to close my fitness studio. So my fitness studio was a big part of what I was doing, big part of me, a big part of my career, my profession, what I love to do. But we were not going to be able to do that and the adoption process at the same time. And so there was a choice that had to be made. Mm-hmm. And I chose the family choice as opposed to the studio. That some people see that as a setback when you got to close a business, you know, something you've dreamed about doing and owning and operating your own business. You know, some people see that as a setback. But for me, yes, it was disappointing, but it had to happen that way. It had to. I had to do it that way in order for Nayla to be a part of my family, in order for her to come and complete our little family of four, you know, and that's a mindset. Like you have like our mindset about where our life is currently and then where our life is headed makes all the difference in the world. And that's probably the only thing that separates me from the other ladies out there who are wishing for things, is that my mindset's a little bit different about it. I'm going to at least try, right? And I'm either going to win or I'm going to learn. And so that's, for me, I feel like that's the difference in my story and what other people could see their story becoming.
So inspiring. So inspiring.
Thank you. You're so sweet.
Thank you. No, that's just facts. It's facts. Thank you so much. I want people to, because if you missed anything, like I hope you didn't miss this. This girl was kickboxing. 3 days before she was gonna go and get a planned C-section. If you don't understand that this is who you need to be learning from and doing your health and fitness journey with, this is the one. So if she can do that, then she can work with yourself with you.
Oh.
If you are trying to start and get healthy today, this is who you need to talk to, because she's not playing games. Okay?
Oh, thank you.
Daisha says she can learn, but she came to win. So if you're trying to win, please, can you tell them where they can find you? Where do they find you to work with you?
Oh, you're so awesome, Victoria. Thank you so much. Once again, thank you for having me today. I love this conversation. I would love to just talk to you again, just random, because you're just awesome.
No, we're friends now. Once you're in this family, I talk to all my guests regularly.
Perfect. So I love that. I would love to continue doing that. Real easy. It's you can find me on my website, DaishaEnos.com, or you can find me on Instagram at Daisha Enos. Either one of those, hit me up, send me a message or send me a DM, and I would be I'd be happy to talk to you and get you going. Wherever you are in your health journey, you don't have to be, an expert, or you don't have to be, sitting on the couch right now. It doesn't matter where you are in your health journey. I just really, truly enjoy helping. I love helping, and I love being a small part of a woman's ability to become the best version of herself.
Well, if you're looking for transformation, if you're looking for support, if you're looking for inspiration, Daisha Enos, everybody. Thank you so much,
Victoria.
Thank you so much.
Isn't she great and fun too, right? Thanks so much to Daisha Enos for visiting today. You can find out more about her by visiting www.daishaenos.com or YouTube, Instagram, Facebook at Daisha Enos. And once again, I'm your host, Victoria Lauture-Duncker. Thanks for stopping by today. And I'd like to hear from you. So leave a review wherever you're listening to this podcast. Follow us on all the social media platforms at New Mommy at 40. Our website is www.newmommyat40.com, where you can also submit to be my next guest. Theme song was written and performed by yours truly, composers Boris Tavastinov and myself, musical arrangement by Yazioko Yaz Fakoa, and animation by Ellen's Animation. See you next week.